I am off to myelinate some neural pathways. Me and the bike are a little bit closer to home, so you can see front there in the distance. Come up to a little cyclocross route that we have up here that I've never been able to ride without putting my foot down, and I've come to practice or to myelinise some neural pathways.
Okay, a little bit of science, and we're going to simplify it, not for your sake, but for mine. We've all heard the brain referred to as grey matter. It makes up around 40% of your brain and contains neurons. Sensory neurons are self-explanatory. They take information from the senses and direct it toward the central nervous system and brain. Motor neurons send information the other direction, away from the brain to the muscles. So when we touch something hot, it's our sensory neurons that send a message to the brain, and our motor neurons that send a message away from the brain. 60% of the brain is made up of axons, which connect the neurons, and myelin, which is what gives it its whiteness. Think of myelin as insulation tape. When we repeat a task, it creates a neural pathway and insulates it with myelin. Without myelin, the speed of information between the neuron and the muscle is between 1 to 20 miles an hour. And like any uninsulated cable, you can also get signal loss. But with myelin, the signal can reach 225 miles per hour. This is why consistent and quality practice is required to become good at any skill.
All right, only 1 foot down. Even then I think that was overcautious. Of course, in many walks of life, the military, aviation, theatre, sports, and in my world, the music world, we use repetition and practice really rather a lot. We give it lots of different names: simulation, training, rehearsal, practice, whatever you like. But ultimately, the goal is to make actions second nature. As a musician, you have 2 main areas of practice. One is your theory and technical type stuff. So your rudiments, your scales, your modes, your chords, your arpeggios, that kind of stuff. All of the bits of vocabulary that you need to practice. And secondly, you have the more performance-orientated practice or rehearsal, where you're actually working through pieces of music or composition. And that can be done individually, or that can be done as part of an ensemble.
We do this a lot in swimming. Drills for the technical aspects and swimming distances at certain paces for performance.
In road cycling and time trialling, we tend to focus all of our efforts on physical training, developing our fitness levels. I have done time trials where I've actually measured elements of the course and recreated it using cones to get dead turns, etc. But it's a bit of a rarity and an exception to the rule. In off-road riding, sessioning a section of trail is pretty commonplace, riding the same bit of trail over and over again to perfect it. But is there any broader benefit to getting really good at one bit of trail?
At first glance, perfecting a specific cross route on my bike might be a waste of time. It's never going to be used in a race, so why do we do it? Why do pilots repeatedly land at the same airport in simulators? Why do special forces rehearse saving hostages in houses with layouts that aren't likely to be the same as the real thing? We can't predict everything, so we practice bits of it. Every piece of music I've ever played on the trumpet or the drums is made up of a set of scales, arpeggios or rudiments. Think of them as letters which we use to form words, which we use to form sentences, paragraphs, etc. Then compare someone who's never read from an auto cue to someone who's an expert. They can both talk normally, but one is trained to know how to pace, pause, inflect, read ahead, etc, etc, even though they don't know which words are coming up. And more often than not, when an expert makes a mistake, the mistake can be fairly subtle.
You want some ideas for fabulous eye makeup and you're wearing a mask, head over to our app and click Get Involved to send us a short video.
Remember our sensory neurons? Well, as much as our eyes are taking in the bike line and then firing motor neurons to steer, pedal, shift weight, etc., so are our feel neurons. Is the bike sliding? Is the front wheel getting rutted? Have we lost traction with the back wheel? And we're making adjustments based off that, but we're doing it over and over. We're creating an environment for rapid and consistent repetition.
Yes! Bloody did it. So as a case in point, I have now just ridden it 3 times on the bounce without putting my foot down. Now, I haven't ridden this for a few years, and yes, conditions are probably a bit different to last time, and yes, I'm probably on a better bike, but definitely all the off-road riding I've been doing in the last 9 months or so has definitely meant I've improved my neural pathways and insulated them a bit more. The next step for me now is to mix it up a little bit, try a few different variations on it, try some different lines and see what happens, maybe try some different hand positions on the handlebars.
The next time we sense something we've experienced and corrected 100 times, we'll react automatically at 225 miles an hour. We don't have to be riding our bike in exactly the same spot in the world to do this.
Just a small increase in speed. Just lost my front wheel a little bit there. Stayed on, kept the feet in, but yeah, definitely speed is not the focus here.
Finally, these skills we develop are transferable. Balance, pressure on the pedals or handlebar, and a more developed touch and feel will transfer to the road or TT bike. I've noticed it already since starting to ride off-road more, a sense of being more at one with the bike. We've all seen how the likes of Van Aert, Van der Poel, Pidcock and Sagan can all handle their bikes on the road. They are all off-road monsters. So let's summarise some good practice. 1. Consistency is key. A 1-hour skill session per week is better than 1 4-hour session a month. As Chris Opie says, every bike ride should have a little focused on technique. Little and often, no binging. 2. Do not focus on speed. Part 3 of these videos is going to be on this, but speed is a byproduct of good technique and repetition. 3. Have markers. In slight contradiction to point number 2, have fixed measures. It could be timed, but can also be how close you get to a cone or how tightly you make a turn, etc. But don't pressure yourself to go faster. It will happen organically and naturally, but we all need markers to be able to feel like we're progressing.
If you've enjoyed this video, there are 4 things you can really do to help me and grow this channel. 1 is to subscribe to the channel and also hit the notifications bell. That bit is really, really important. If you could give me a thumbs up and a like for this, it's just about here somewhere, that's super helpful. And if you could leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on this video, that would be great. It's the only way I get any feedback and turn this into a 2-way conversation. And a lot of video ideas come from what I read in the comments. And so until the next video, take good care of yourselves.